Coastal fog rolled through Widow's Point at low tide, and a young woman named Claire pressed her palm against the bathroom mirror above her sink, watching her own reflection turn away from her a full 3 seconds before she moved. Her breath caught. The glass fogged from the inside. Somewhere behind her, in the reflection alone, a shape knelt down and covered its face. 2 nights later, a case file landed on the desk of Agent Ethan Cole, forwarded through an unmarked channel inside the agency, and flagged for immediate field response. The report described 6 city blocks in a small coastal town in Maine, where every mirror, storefront window, and polished surface had stopped showing the present moment. Residents described reflections that moved before they did, as though reacting to actions their bodies had not yet taken. One resident, a woman named Claire Bennett, had vanished entirely sometime after midnight, leaving her front door open and her bathroom mirror still fogged. Ethan told his partner, Agent Victoria Hayes, that the explanation was almost certainly a shared psychological episode triggered by infrasound or a chemical leak affecting the town's water supply. Something measurable, something that would fall apart the moment they applied real scrutiny. Victoria reminded him that mirrors had always been treated as thresholds in older belief systems, and that a delay between a person and their reflection was not something any known illness could produce. Neither agent said much else before their car pulled onto the coastal highway toward Widow's Point. The town of Widow's Point sat at the elbow of a rocky peninsula, its buildings salt-bleached and close together, its population barely large enough to fill a school gymnasium. Ethan and Victoria arrived to find the 6 affected blocks cordoned off by local police, every mirror and window inside the perimeter covered with cloth or cardboard by residents too frightened to look at their own reflections. The first witness, an elderly fisherman named Warren Pike, told the agents that he had noticed the delay 3 days earlier, during his morning shave, when his reflection had lifted a hand to touch its own throat a moment before he felt any urge to do so. He said he had laughed it off as tiredness until his wife pointed out that their bedroom mirror was doing the same thing, showing her expression change before she felt any emotion behind it. A second witness, a school teacher named Rosalind Voss, described something worse. She said that 2 evenings earlier, while brushing her hair, her reflection had stopped moving entirely for nearly a full minute while she continued to brush, and that when the reflection finally caught up, its eyes had been fixed directly on her rather than following her hairbrush. Victoria noted that these accounts matched an old regional legend about the peninsula, a story fishermen had told for generations about a stretch of water offshore, known as the Widow's Mile, where a fishing vessel called the Constance had gone down decades earlier with its entire crew, and where, according to local folklore, drowned men were said to watch the shore through any reflective surface they could find, waiting for a way back. Ethan pursued a different angle, requesting municipal records and utility logs for the affected blocks. He found that a geothermal survey company had drilled 3 exploratory boreholes near the coastline the previous month, and he proposed that vibrations from the drilling, combined with a rare atmospheric inversion trapping infrasound close to the ground, could be affecting residents' inner ear function and visual processing enough to create the illusion of delayed reflections. It was a clean theory, and for several hours it seemed to explain everything, until Victoria pulled the drilling company's seismic readings and found that the boreholes had been shut down and sealed 6 days before the first reported incident, well before any resident noticed anything wrong. The agents visited Claire Bennett's house last. Her front door was still unlocked, exactly as neighbors had described, and her bathroom mirror remained uncovered, fogged along its edges despite the room being cold and dry. Ethan photographed the mirror out of procedure, and when he reviewed the image later on his phone, he noticed something neither agent had seen with the naked eye: a faint outline behind the fog, low near the base of the glass, shaped like a person kneeling. Neighbors told the agents that Claire had been the first to report the delay, 4 days before her disappearance, and that in the days after, she had grown convinced her reflection was trying to warn her rather than threaten her. She had told her neighbor, an older woman named Dot Ferris, that the shape in the mirror covered its face whenever Claire tried to speak to it, as though it did not want to be recognized, or as though recognition itself was the danger. By the second night in Widow's Point, Ethan's borehole theory had collapsed entirely under its own timeline, and even he admitted, quietly, that the sealed drilling equipment could not account for what residents were describing. Victoria said nothing, because she had already begun watching every reflective surface in the room out of the corner of her eye. On the third night, the agents returned to Claire Bennett's house after receiving a call from Dot Ferris, who said she had seen movement through her own front window, in the reflection of the glass rather than in the street itself. Ethan and Victoria entered the house at dusk and found the bathroom mirror no longer fogged, but perfectly clear, showing the room exactly as it was, except for one detail. Standing several feet behind where Victoria stood in the reflection, a second figure was visible, motionless, facing away from the glass. Victoria did not move. In the mirror, her reflection did. It turned to face the second figure a full 3 seconds before Victoria felt any impulse to turn her own head, and when she finally did turn, there was nothing behind her in the room itself, only in the glass. Ethan, standing beside her, watched his own reflection lift a hand toward the second figure in the mirror, though his real hand remained at his side. He told Victoria to step back, and in the reflection, she had already taken the step before his real voice finished the sentence. The figure in the mirror slowly turned toward the glass, and both agents recognized the face immediately as Claire Bennett, though her expression held none of the fear witnesses had described in the days before her disappearance. Instead, her reflection raised both hands and pressed them flat against the inside of the mirror, as though testing a barrier from the other side, and mouthed words neither agent could hear. Victoria approached the mirror and placed her own hand against the glass, matching the position of Claire's reflected palm. For a moment, the surface rippled like disturbed water, and the fog returned instantly, thick enough to erase every detail behind it. When it cleared seconds later, Claire's reflection was gone, and only Victoria's own reflection remained, standing exactly where it should have been standing, moving exactly when Victoria moved. Every mirror in the 6 affected blocks returned to normal within the hour, according to residents who had covered them the night before. Claire Bennett was never found. Victoria told Ethan, quietly, that whatever had reached through the glass had not been trying to take Claire. It had been trying to warn her, and it had run out of time before she listened. The agency closed the Widow's Point file within the week, officially attributing the incident to a localized psychological phenomenon triggered by environmental stress, a conclusion Ethan signed without much conviction and Victoria refused to sign at all. Residents slowly uncovered their mirrors again, and within a month, life along the 6 affected blocks returned to something resembling normal, though several families chose to leave the town entirely rather than test whether their reflections still moved on time. One detail remained buried in the case file, something neither agent mentioned in their official report. The photograph Ethan had taken of Claire Bennett's fogged mirror, the one showing a kneeling shape near the base of the glass, had changed by the time they reviewed it back at headquarters. The kneeling figure was still there, but its hands, once covering its face, were now lowered, and its eyes, faint but unmistakable in the fog, were open and looking directly out of the frame. Before either agent could raise the question, Ethan's phone rang with a new case number and no explanation attached. The file that followed showed a single photograph, a family portrait from a home 3 states away, in which every reflection visible in a background window showed 4 people standing, though only 3 had ever lived in that house.